Welcome to day 88 of the 300 Movie Challenge. Today we watched the highest grossing film of September 2001, which was Don't Say a Word. Someone else go first.
Someone else go first. I guess I'll go first. The beginning was very weird and like unfocused and kind of slow, but
It was, yeah, and
there was one
bizarre almost.
there was one plot line that I was interested in, which was what was her name? Elizabeth's storyline.
Mm.
I was very interested in her storyline, and I guess a very small fun fact. Brittany Murphy also was in Girl Interrupted, which I watched in high school, and she also portrayed someone who had a mental illness in that movie as well.
Mm.
Interesting the comparison because I believe Girl Interrupted came a little bit earlier, I think 1999. She played the role quite well, and
Yeah.
I'll more or less like just commentate on like her storyline because it was the most interesting one.
I agree. I think it was.
Yeah. Well, it was. I definitely agree. Like, the first, 30 minutes or so, you're just like, what is going on and what. Like, you literally have no idea what to focus on, right?
No,
Um,
because it goes from like the gang to like the dad character to
Yeah, and you
like
don't know what the connection between both was.
yeah.
then there's like the policewoman who I don't know why they kept switching to her point of view because she was honestly the most like dumb and annoying one.
Well, it also she was like the
Really?
least involved. Like she
Yeah.
literally her
Yeah.
purpose was to show up at the very end, and even then, it's not like she really did that much at the very end either. Anyway,
I don't
She
think we
just
really
gave
needed.
like one shot,
Yeah.
and then she got shot.
yeah. So
Oops.
yeah, I mean, to be fair, I did kind of like how they in had the storage about Elizabeth and the father guy, how their kind of issues kind of converged. I thought that was handled pretty well.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that whole story with the policewoman thing and the the just the villain plot doesn't really make any sense.
No,
He's
'cause
doing all of this for a stupid rock.
Yeah, like,
it's like
huh?
not only that, but then you have to also think about the fact that all his gang members are also decided to go through with this in order to get this rock too, like the gemstone and stuff. I mean,
I don't get it.
yes, it might be worth millions or trillions of dollars and stuff, but
I believe in the beginning they said like 10 million, which is
Oh.
not even that much, honestly, in terms
Yeah.
of like a
yeah,
gem. So yeah, it's just it's not payback levels of stupid where he's like $70,000, but it's,
Taking less money.
yeah, but still, it's kind of just like I really feel that if the policewoman thing was just gotten rid of, and
the
that-
villain actually had like more stakes and
yeah,
everything.
if there was actually
Yeah.
a really real reason where he was doing what he was doing, that wasn't just like he took a thing that was meant to be mine, something that actually felt legitimate and threatening. I feel like this could have been a legitimately quite good movie.
Yeah.
Because the stuff that works again with Elizabeth, and like the acting's pretty good, the emotion's actually pretty good throughout. It's
Yeah.
definitely very suspenseful, and that's handled that in the right way. But it's just like, yeah, this story doesn't quite focus on the things it needs to,
Yeah.
and that really kind of
I-
pulls you out of it.
Yeah. I also like even though we didn't see her that much, I like the fact that even though the mom was like, she wasn't involved in whatever was going on and stuff,
Mm.
she still did something in the end.
Yeah, that was actually quite awesome. Actually.
Yeah.
At least I
Because usually when they have like the woman character crying and stuff, they'll just leave her crying and useless and everything, right?
Yeah.
But it was actually nice to see that she actually did something despite her leg being broken too.
Yeah.
I mean, that's true for like all the characters in that they were maybe like they were active, but they weren't like unrealistically active.
Yeah,
yeah,
right.
like
in terms
the
of, like, what
kid
they
with
did.
the vent and stuff too.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
yeah,
was
the
that
kid
was,
was really good.
So that was kind of interesting how, and again, how they handled that line of, I mean, you'd probably say like, oh, and like if this really happened, someone wouldn't really react this way, and that's fair. But it didn't like strike me as like, you know, super odd in the moment, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they seemed like, and again, like with the kid and kind of, there was some specific moment where it was one of the characters. I was like, oh, interesting, like resource to use with that. And I don't remember what it was now, but
Was it the mom with like the steel pole or something?
no, it wasn't that. I feel like it was with the dad, but I don't remember what it was. Anyway, so yeah, it's just kind of, it's a little frustrating because it's like there's definitely elements for a pretty good movie, and they got a good amount of those elements down. It's just the story just needed to be focused on the things that mattered
Yeah.
and take away from the pointless kind of cop side story and actually make the villain's plan more
Like, not
important.
dumb.
Yeah, because him as a
Yeah.
character, he's actually not that bad. It's just
Yeah.
his motivation is just because, again, like once I realized, I was like, oh wait, the girl's father is the dude, and then I'm like, but that makes this important. What? Like, you know, that reveal should be like, oh whoa, that's what's going on. But instead, I was just like, wait, that's what's going on? You know what I mean? Like, that's
Yeah.
just kind of deflates it when you realize that that's the ultimate goal here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And especially because the opening thing with the gang, you know, until you get until you get near the end of the movie, it seems completely unrelated to everything.
Yeah.
And so but therefore you know that, like, well, they're not going to show something that's completely unrelated. It has to be related somehow, right?
Mm.
So you can kind of figure it out beforehand that, like, maybe there's something like that, you know, especially once you realize that, oh, Elizabeth has this thing with her father and that, like, you know, something happened. You know what I mean? You can kind of maybe piece it together at that point. But again, it's like when the full reveal actually happens, there's no real impact to it because, again, you can kind of guess it beforehand anyway, and then even
Right.
then, it's like, well, again,
He's
you're just
doing
like,
all
so
of
what?
this.
Yeah, it's just kind of like, so I don't, yeah, there definitely should be. I don't even really know what they should change it to, but
Yeah, I don't know
something.
either.
It's something better than he stole my rock. Wah.
Yeah.
So
I think Elizabeth's character and her trauma is definitely, they did a very good job with that, I think.
Yeah, it was handled very well. And the actress was very good with the material, and she portrayed it very realistically.
Because, like, a previous movie we saw, Tomb Raider, with, like, she lost her dad too, but that was just...
It was so bizarre and weird.
yeah, didn't exactly feel realistic.
No, it didn't seem realistic, and you didn't feel, like, any pain or, like, despair for
No,
that or
it
anything.
was just
but
like,
here,
oh no, my dad.
yeah. But here you could definitely feel that pain and stuff, too.
Yeah,
And especially when they showed, like, the scene.
like when
where
they're in the
she had-
subway.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a really good scene.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess the only thing, I guess, in the actual story, besides the things I mentioned before that kind of annoyed me, was when they were like, you know, she wrote the number and they went to go get it, and then they like didn't find it, and then like, oh well, she wrote it backwards, so it's this other number. I'm like, what was the point of that? Like, that was just
Yeah,
kind of
it's
so
like,
just random. It's like,
Was there really a
okay.
necessary...
Did you really need to add like
reason?
2 minutes to the movie? Like,
I don't know.
it was just kind of bizarre. Yeah, I don't know. It's just that I still think overall, at least from my perspective, there's more positives than negatives.
I
Yeah.
think so too, because
Like,
they
I outweigh-
concentrated mainly on Elizabeth.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
kind of feel like I do about this movie about Primal Fear,
Oh, yeah.
but
Yeah.
I would say Primal Fear was a bit more polarized.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Where like
Like,
the
the
good
good
stuff in
things are
Primal
really
Fear
good.
was really good.
And then the
Right.
bad stuff was just
Was just-
really meh.
Yeah, so this one's a little bit more averaged out.
Mhm.
So again, it kind of comes down to, at least from my perspective with Primal Fear, that really good aspect of Primal Fear, that kind of pushed. I think if I were to compare the two, I would say I like Primal Fear a little bit more. But again, that's because of the really good things. I can see at the same time someone saying the opposite because they found the bad things in Primal Fear to be too bad, right? So, but that's kind of my perspective of it, at least where I'm seeing it. I don't really think that there's like, you know, you should definitely see this movie because it's great, you know what I mean? But it's, so there's, I can't really like, I don't know.
It's not really a recommendation.
Yeah,
movie,
it's not
nor
a
is it a
recommendation,
movie.
but it's not like an unrecommendation either. It's like, if for some reason
If you're interested, then go for it, I guess.
if you if you are tasked to watch it, don't like fall into despair. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, basically.
But yeah, there really isn't that much of a reason to like seek it out over anything else. But
Right, yeah.
No.
it's
Nor do
definitely-
I think any of us are going to watch it again either.
No.
Because again, like, I would be more tempted to watch Primal Fear again. I would just, just
Cut
watch
out
the really
like,
good
the
stuff,
parts
right?
that you don't want.
Yeah. So whereas this, there was nothing in it that was like amazing. The Elizabeth stuff was good, but it wasn't amazing, right? So yeah, that's kind of, I don't know. That's my take on it. I was kind of curious if you two kind of felt the same way. It seems like you do.
I think the thing that I liked a lot about like Elizabeth's storyline was how they did the flashbacks.
That's
Oh,
true.
yeah.
'Cause sometimes they do a really bad job with flashbacks and stuff.
Yeah. Because you're kind of seeing it real time to how she's experiencing them again, and then I guess like the hyper contrast of the colors will also kind of be like her kind of entering that state of reliving it, in a kind of suspended
from
reality.
like an audience perspective.
Mhm.
Because sometimes I know it's like when you're watching a movie, it's like, wait, is this a flashback or is it not?
Yeah.
Or like you don't
Yeah.
really know what
Yeah.
it is, and then this is very obvious, but it still conveyed. It was obvious, but also wasn't jarring because at the same time it
Yeah.
is like it's a mental trauma kind of thing, so it is going to be
Yeah.
kind of exaggerated anyway, right? So that kind of fit. That was interesting how they kind of worked that into the actual like filming of it. Oh, and I will say also, speaking of Tomb Raider, which one of the things we complained about is how the editing of the action was way too fast.
Oh yeah.
This editing was pretty fast, but you could still see what was happening.
Which was
Yeah.
really good,
So,
yeah.
'cause
Especially
it-
with the ending parts.
Yeah, the kind of part at the end of the movie, because I happened to notice that during that sort of like climax, I guess, it was edited quite fast actually in terms of the shots. But again, the angles weren't changing a ton, and you could at least kind of it focused pretty closely on the things that were actually happening and what mattered, so you could actually feel
Yeah.
the flow of the fight and stuff like that, and you could kind of understand what's happening.
Right.
So that was definitely a much better example of
Fast editing done
fast
right.
editing done right. Yeah.
I think personally I would take watching this over Primal Fear, but as you mentioned, it can flip or flop either way depending on the person.
I think I personally also ranked this a little bit higher because I guess I felt more for Elizabeth than I did for the lawyer dude from Primal Fear.
Yeah, again, I totally understand that. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, in terms of like how we feel on the same page, is that we feel like it was overall positive.
Yeah, overall positive, but
Which is actually, yeah, I totally did not expect this given the score that would.
Yeah, no, again, I'm like, I saw, we're like, oh, it's an R-rated, like, thriller thing that has, like, a 38. We're like, oh, this is gonna be really bad. And it, like,
Yeah.
wasn't.
Yeah,
right?
makes-
So,
All
like-
of '96 kind of proved that these kind of films are usually
it's
pretty
just kind
awful.
of weird. It's like, why did everyone, like, hate this?
Yeah.
There's really
know.
nothing to hate about it. Because, again, even this stuff with, like, the villain and things like that, it's just kind of, like, kind of dumb, right? It's not, like, terrible.
yeah. It's
There's
kinda
nothing
just-
terrible about it, so it's like,
Yeah.
why? I don't get it. I mean,
Like at worst, the villain is a little bit cartoony with his motive, but I think that's the only
yeah.
truly bad thing
Yeah.
about
I
it.
mean, again, considering this is, what was it, like 6 points higher than what Tomb Raider was ranked or something?
Yeah.
It's
That's
like, that's
not fair.
Yeah, that's a little bit ridiculous. So,
Mhm.
and I don't know. I mean, you know what? I'm gonna even look at the list here. Let me actually scroll back to like 96. Tin Cup is rated way higher.
Oh
I
my
don't know.
God.
Oh my god, yeah, that's too high.
Tin Cup was that Tin Cup got a 60. That
That
is
is
What I thought was-
preposterous.
unacceptable.
Like, switch the numbers.
Yes, 06. Yeah, that's a bit
Oh my
forfeit.
God.
Yeah. 6.
Yeah, okay, what the fuck? Tin Cup got a 60, Primal Fear got a 47.
What?
That's the most bullshit thing I've ever seen. Good lord. So
No, I think more so is the fact that Tin Cup got a 60, but 101 Dalmatians got a 49.
oh
Right, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Ugh.
all whack. People are whack. Anyway, I
101 Dalmatian should be like a 94.
I mean, okay, I'm not one of those people who is like, oh, the critics don't know, they're all wrong or paid off to hate or love certain things or whatever. I'm not that stupid. But it's, for me, I look at it as like, these are people with certain opinions, other people have other opinions, and the point, honestly, the score itself is not the important part. The importance is the what, right? Because you could have,
Yeah.
you could like something for the same reason that someone else dislikes something.
Right, yeah.
So it's kind of like, I don't think that you should take reviews as, reviews are meaningless. The point is you don't just look at the score, you actually read the review, and if they say, oh, it was good because of blah blah and blah, and you're like, hey, I like blah blah blah, then you're probably gonna like it, right?
Yeah.
Because,
right.
For example, I'm trying to think of an example. The Call of Duty games from like Modern Warfare 1 and that kind of stuff. Like, those are perceived quite well by a lot of people, and they say they're really good games and stuff like that, and they like them because of, the gun combat's really nice and that kind of stuff or whatever. Whereas from my perspective, I look at those games and I'm like, I fucking hate these controls. I can't see shit in this game. I don't want to play it, right? But it doesn't therefore mean that, like, their reviews are invalid, right? So,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's different criteria.
Yeah, now granted, some reviews are just total bullshit, right? There's going to be people who are going to, blow things way out of proportion. But again, the number is not the important part for that. You need to actually look at what they say about it. So again, for Primal Fear, maybe people just got way too bored with the boring stuff, right? I have no idea what anyone could see in Tin Cup, to be honest, though. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe just everything else that came out during the time period was somehow even worse.
Scumbag billionaire.
It does make me wonder, like, some of the rankings I have from the films in, like, 96 and stuff. It's like, should I really have put them that high, or was I just, like, so happy to not get a fucking terrible movie that I put it, like, higher than it should have
Maybe
been?
reassess.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of one of those things, but anyway. I don't know. It's a passable movie. It's a good way to put it.
Yes.
That's a good way to put it.
Okay. So, I guess there's not too much else to
I
say.
guess
So,
that's it.
That's
yeah.
Yep, that's it.
I feel like a lot of, well, I don't know. This year's been odd.
Has been.
It's been, all
It's-
over the place.
It's been odd. Like, a lot of these movies have been weird. And it's, again, not even in, like, a good or a bad way, necessarily. Some is bad, some is good, but it's just weird.
It's just an interesting observation in general.
Yeah, and...
Like, looking back on it, on what we've watched so far and everything.
Yeah, I'm looking at the list and I'm just like, how is this, like, in the same year as Hannibal?
yeah.
Like, Spy Kids is right after Hannibal.
I know,
and,
right? It's
Yeah.
so strange.
You
Well,
know?
we're not quite to the end of the year, but we will be closing out the year with some pretty big movies. So it'll be interesting for me to actually see one of these movies, and also for me to see again one of these movies that I haven't seen for, like, I don't know, over 10 years.
I've actually watched both the movies.
So
I've
But
watched
one, similarly, I haven't watched in like 5 billion years.
yeah.
Yeah,
it'd
so,
be
I
interesting
mean-
to see these again, or for the first time. But again, it's definitely like, these are big, important, famous movies that, like, everyone at least has heard of before. So
I'm sure you guys know what's coming.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, if anyone's looking at the list, it's pretty obvious for what movies come out at the
Mhm.
end of the year. But
Mhm.
we do have one more that like we know nothing about before we get to that. So we'll
Mhm.
see how
Yeah.
that goes. This, yeah, considering how poorly this was rated, I guess this is a pleasant-ish surprise. I guess I don't know.
Yeah.
It didn't
It
feel
was
like
better than expected.
yeah,
at
it didn't
least.
feel like a waste of time.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
Anyway, but enough.
Enough reviewing.
I'm tired. Hey.
Time to
Goodbye,
go.
guys.
Bye.
Bye.